decade, if not even more. And he was a student in St. Joseph College, our own St. Joseph College, and a man of passion and loves reading a lot of books. And then from there, John took off. He took off in life. I remember that he was working as his natural instinct is to help people. He loves helping people. He was involved in a lot of NGOs. And his next love after helping people is farming. And John, he worked in various places, and then finally I found that he landed up in Bangalore, and he's working with High Court judges, and he had done a lot of work on RERA. And not only this gentleman has also got a passion, a quest to learn, a quest to help others, and also to succeed in business. And he has two startups. One is an agri startup, and he's been phenomenal. His growth has been meteoric. There's a lot of things you can learn from him. And as he speaks, he'll keep you enthralled for the next 45 minutes because he's a man of passion. He's a man of energy. He's vivacious and a man full of love. He's kind. He's humble. A wonderful human being to be with. I don't want to take away any more of John's time. Enjoy him for the next 45 minutes. And then possibly you can have an interaction with him.
And John has been helping many people even when he was a college student, I know. And then he started.
I know even as a college student, he would help some of his classmates by paying their fees, by supporting them. He would in fact bring them to our institute and say, you support them, help them out. And that is what John is. Okay, so it's very difficult for a human being to be a businessman and a humanitarian at the same time, but John is a combination of both.
Rare combination.
Just watch. Please welcome John.
Welcome, John.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. And happy morning, everyone. I am John Benedict. I'm from Palakkad, Kerala. To be specific, we are a Tamil-speaking Keralite. Even blessed to be born there and being there. And I'm from a very small, happy village called Atikot. Being a part of a village, and also to tell about the family, my mom, dad, and my sister, grandparents, I grew up in such a family. To make it clear, so I always used to say, I'm neither born in a rich family nor in an educated family, but I was lucky to born in a very, very hard-working and lovable family. All we know is to work hard, and work hard, I mean, with all our heart. There's nothing ifs and buts. Either we do or we don't do. So there's no like the half-hearted, that sort of a work. So that value helped me to move forward in life. Another point to tell you, so being part of such a family from my dad is only aim in life or is to make me study. So education is something very, very important from day one. We used to, all four of us, and dad, mom, sister, and me also, we all work together. We work in the farm. We had some cows. We used to graze the cows, and whatever money. So maybe for dad and the family, the biggest investment is education. So probably whatever he earns, everything is spent for the education. That's how life is. And in early childhood, those school days and all, I still couldn't remember in my school days, my 12th standard, and then even my degree, undergraduate degree. I could hardly remember any teacher telling me to study well, or I even couldn't think of maybe, I mean, I'm not lying, that's the truth. Nobody ever told me that you should study well, come up in life, or to motivate. So that's very poor. So no. I mean, even at that stage, and when you're part of a family and the background, at least the teachers and students, if you are lucky, you should get somebody very early in life as a mentor. Maybe. So I got somebody only in my college days. I had a friend called Vikram Paul. So he was the only guy. I mean, the first guy to inspire me and to motivate me to study well. So that was life up to my degree. And in my degree, I had 5 areas, all time high attendance log. I hardly had some 50-55% marks, and that was how life was. Although my dad was struggling for me to study and to come back to every day to come to the college in Coimbatore, Bishop Ambrose College. We used to sell milk in the morning, and 50 rupees that will get, and that's from my bus fare for that day. Morning, from there I'll come to Coimbatore. I'll have to walk some 2 kilometers to reach my college. Then the evening. That's how life used to be, and I really couldn't do much at that point of time. And I finished my degree. I had I didn't get any job. I was jobless. Although family was really required my support at that time, but I was jobless. In fact, I was not equipped to get a job. I was underemployment. I mean, I was not fit for to get a job. That's the right word. That's how life was. And somehow I had the interest, or I always wanted to study in St. Joseph's College, Trichy. I heard it from some of my friends and all. So I always wanted to study there. So, but I never prepared for it, nor I hardly know anything about it. So after my degree, just 2-3 months, I just was in the village. I was just doing hunting and just going here and there. I was not doing anything, and my dad was very much worried. So one day he said, "Come." I even applied for the admission in St. Joseph's College. So dad said, "Come, let's go and see what happened to your admission," because somehow they were not calling us. We were literally, if you think of now, we had hardly any cousins or family members or friends to guide us how to go there, what to do there. We had just picked up 2 bags, got into a bus. I mean, we morning 2 o'clock train from Coimbatore. So we stayed in the platform and all, and then we caught the train. We reached Trichy. Next day morning, we had to go to the college. Even we didn't know about a basic thing, a village. What will they know? So we literally reached Satram bus stand in front of the St. Joseph's College. We literally took bath in the Trichy, that Satram bus stand in that, and got ready in the bus stand, that area, in the public toilet and that area. And myself and dad, we walked into the college. So I was really stunned to see such a big college. And for a few minutes, I sat in that nearby the canteen, that area. I really thought if I could study here, I'd be really happy. Then we walked into a principal's cabin. Being from village, we used to be very humble and obedient. That's the nature of any villager. We don't have any ego, because we didn't have anything to show that ego or something, but naturally that humbleness will be there. So dad was literally requesting the principal, help our son to study here. If you get a seat, it will be good. Then when we checked the marks also, I had 32 marks in my handset. I was one of the topper to qualify for that entrance exam. Somehow I was always good at maths, so that helped me to score good marks. Somehow they missed my application, and when principal was also surprised to see that my application was missed somehow. Then he gave the seat. Then I somehow came to Trichy. So Trichy is always, I treat Trichy as heaven in my life. That's the place, a lot of transformation happened in my life. I was again an average student. Somehow, with all the money dad had, he made me join the college. I stayed in with my friends near the college itself. Life was going normal. First 3-4 months, life was going normal. But I always remembered my friend Vikram, how we used to study in college in our degree. I mean, the books he used to read. I mean, how dynamic he used to be. He got some 5-6 offers in his campus interview. So that time I also thought, at least when I finish MCA, I should have at least 5 offers in my hand. That was fixed, and I should do what he was doing. I had an idea about, if you have to get that much offers and if you want to move forward in life, what you should do. I've seen somebody doing it. I've been there watching it. When life was going like this, one incident and one story I like to quote everybody that really brought that fire and helped me move forward. And after that, there was no looking back. Fire means all throughout the life, being from village, from a normal school. So if you really want to clear some good campus and really want to join a good college, there are a lot of gaps in terms of the communication, their technical skills, interpersonal skills. Like a lot of gaps will be there for a village student or a normal a student who never studied or who never got the exposure to study or to learn or to acquire all these skills, to compete with others who come from a good school, from a good family background, or we really need to work maybe little. I mean, the number of hours you have to put in is really high, and the intensity at which you have to study is also more. So at that time, one day, I mean, I got 500 rupees from the Trichy bus stand, and I took that money. I just thought, let's give to some orphanage or old age home. I mean, that's always there. So I never thought I should use that money, although the need was there, or because always there's need for money to even to get the basic things. So, but I thought I'll give to some orphanage. So I was looking to give that money to some orphanage, and I came across an orphanage called Vidivali Ashram, which is very close to the St. Joseph's College and to the Satna bus stand. And so I went there with this 5 rupees in my hand, and I met the sister in charge, and I told her that I got this money, sister. I just thought of giving to you, which will some help to somebody. So when I was talking to the sister, I had a small girl weeping and crying, and she just entered the sister's the convent the superior's room. So when I turned back, I saw a girl, maybe 10-year-old. Somebody has bitten on her cheek, and blood was coming from it, and she was just standing there. And for a few minutes, then sister called somebody and to bring the medicine. So she was just, and sister also went out. So she was just standing inside the room for a few minutes, and I was sitting there watching her. And sister came back after somebody came. They just her wound, and she was just made to sit there. Then I asked sister, how many people are there? What is the family background? Sister said there were like 100 plus kids. Some of them taken from the dustbin. Some of them were left alone in the hospital, and most of them didn't have parents, and some of them mentally challenged. And she took me into that Vidivali ashram and just walking. I was just seeing all these kids over there, and I spent literally 2-3 hours. I was dead silent, and that moment I realized we have been, if at all, although in our family a small fever, a small headache, a small wound, everybody will run and take care of us. Life is totally different. I really felt how blessed we are to even have parents, to grandparents, and everybody to look after us, to be with us. That moment, I thought, with all these blessings, I should do really something good in life. Life should not be like, I mean, boring, and I should do something good. That inspired. That moment was a transformational moment for me. I kept going every Saturdays over there. I spent some time there. There, I used to get the energy for the next week. You won't believe, from that moment, I started to study. So morning around 4:35, I'll get up. I'll just take bath. I'll do my prayers. I'll go to the church around 6 o'clock, and from 6:30, I used to be in the college, St. Joseph's College. I'll be the first person who go to the canteen and have a tea there, and then go to the library. Then I had a class at 7:30, and I was part of the evening college, so my class at 2 o'clock. And whatever program happens in Trichy, I used to take a Hindu newspaper and see what are the events for the day. And wherever there is some motivation class, some communication class, or any sort of things, I used to attend. I used to read 3 newspapers a day at that moment. And that was the time when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So 2 such teachers really transformed. One was Linsoft, the STR sir. He was a very tough master in St. Joseph's. Somehow I joined my C and C++ class over there, and at the same time, evening I joined Trichy Plus, and it was around 2007. So I joined there. I met Shivkumar sir and ma'am. So Shivkumar sir was my hero. So all this gender knowledge. So sir used to come to the class first a few minutes. He used to take up economics paper, and we used to read every line, sir. We read in that paper. Sir used to explain about it. I used to really enjoy the class, and even I come back home, I take a pencil. Even now, the best friends are book and pencil and diary and pen for me. So even the newspaper I used to take, I used to like line by line I used to read. Maybe 3 hours I used to spend on reading the newspapers of Hindu, Economic Times. Economic Times paper I was introduced through Shivkumar sir. That's one of the biggest gift of my life, I will say. The kind of things I got to learn, so many things at a very short time. Time is a very important factor. We can't wait. What we can do in a short time, we should do it. If we have please invest more time on it. So that 3 hours a day on the newspaper helped me to acquire my basic general knowledge about the world and things around us. And that was one part. And books also I got introduced at that point of my life. So one such books was um, first book. In fact, I read was You Can Win by Shiv Khera. So I like to share a second story to you all. The story which kept me going. One story in that book, and how I took it, how I perceived it is another thing. So there's a story about a bird in that book. So there is still a farmer whose duty is to collect earthworms from his farm, and he used to go to the neighboring market and to sell the earthworm over there, and in return he'll buy feathers, and he used to make hat and sell it. That's his business. So every day morning he gets up, collects the earthworm, and crosses the forest on the way, reaches the market, and then sells it, collects the feathers, and comes back. So life was going good for him. So one fine day, early morning, he got up the same. He was crossing the forest. So there, a bird was sitting on a tree, and the bird was watching him going every day morning and coming back. It was observing. So this bird, which was sitting on a tree, he thought of an idea. So when the farmer is crossing by, passing by, the bird asked him, "Where are you going?" So the farmer said, "I'm just going to the nearby market to sell these earthworms." So the bird just asked him, "You are in need of earthworm, I mean feathers, and I am in need of the food." So the bird said, "I'll give you some of my feathers. So in return, you give me the earthworm." So the farmer also felt, "I don't have to walk so much to reach the market. I can just give it to this bird, and I'm getting my feathers." The first day, the bird plucked some of its feathers and gave it to the farmer, and the farmer also in return gave the earthworm what he had collected, and the bird was happy. The farmer was happy. The bird don't have to do any work. It sitting in the same tree. The bird got the food, and the whole day the bird was dancing and enjoying. She spent the day happily. Farmer also went back. And second day, again the bird was eagerly waiting for the farmer to come now. Even the second day, the interest to work and to fly and to search for food has come down. The second day, again, as expected, the farmer came in. The bird again plucked some of its feathers and gave it to the farmer. The days went like this, and the bird had no more feathers. It has given all, and the bird has given all its feathers and no more feathers to give it to the farmer, nor the feathers to fly and collect the food. And it died on the same tree. That story really helped me think, if I also just stay in my place and if I don't work hard to get what I want, my life also will be something like this only. All throughout the life, I'll be blaming, I have to just criticize and then blame others for my failures and everything. I'll be in the same place. Most of us in life, we just are like, many situations will be like this bird only. At least more than 25 times in the last few years, I would just think of this bird and I'll ask myself, in what all places am I like this bird? Where do I need to correct myself? Am I just being in the same place without much? So I always believe that satisfaction is death. There's nothing called satisfaction or a goal, right? Everything out of happiness and not for happiness. So if that is how life should be, then you can't just sit in your place expecting things to happen. Everything in life is like that. Nothing in life comes easy to you, and if something comes easy to you, it's not. You will not enjoy it. We should pursue it, go behind it, and find it. So with the mentors like Shivkumar sir, our Charles sir, STR sir, I was able to study well. By the second year and all, I started attending all the quiz programs, intercollegiate programs in Trichy, and I was able to win competition. And already you could feel that all your efforts have started giving results. So wherever you go, you could feel that the proof of the process is in the result it produces. So I started believing the process which I am putting in is right. So always people ask whether this is right or that is right, which process is right, should I do this, should I do that? So just the answer for all this, the proof of the process is in the result it produces. Then when it started producing results, I was also equally happy, and it gave the energy. Usually I sleep hardly 3 to 4 hours a day, maybe around 11:30, 12. I sleep, and again I get up very early in the morning. In one of my the next part of it, the next part of the life was about getting a job. So as expected, we were able to. I was able to get 5 offers in the campus interviews. Cognizant was one of them. So that goal was achieved, and the next phase came in, wherein it was during the recession period. So literally, there was a challenge. I mean, my joining delayed by more than 10 months. So that period of time, I became a trainer. I started working in Anna University. There's a lot of things, a lot of incidents happened in life. How I got into Anna University as a student, and how I started becoming a trainer and all these things. So that period of time, I started taking, since my visit to the orphanage and old age home never stopped. So that moment, I started taking more students. I used to take them to the orphanage, old age homes, and we used to give bath to grandpa, grandma there. I used to give them shave and give them bath to the grandpas over there. So life went like this. So this is all about the student life. So student life, all those students who are attending this program, what I will say is, we as a student, 2 qualities I request all of you to have. One is obedience. That's rule number 1. Even now I'll say, some of the teachers may say to do anything I'll do. I mean, I'm just completely surrendered to the teacher. You have to figure out such a teacher, and once you figure out such a mentor or a teacher, then you should surrender yourself. Whatever they say, it's supposed to be. STR sir used to beat somebody. I mean, he used to be that strict. But we all know that it is for our good, and I mean, what he says is good for us. So if you have found some teachers in your life, you should completely surrender and be obedient. Second part is that we should be willing to work hard and learn. The amount of time you spend in learning all these things, that you should put more effort, and that as a student, that attitude should be there to come back home and then spend more time on what we have learned in class, and then so much time you can a lot of things in a very short time. How things have become made it much easier. That's all about student life. This was employees, or when we are working somewhere, how that phase of my life, and how we are able to reach the top or start doing things at a very senior level. There are some values I follow that help me to achieve that one. So one of my mentor, after all these things, I started attending training programs of Mahapriya, the Infinitism. So I've done 5 HTV programs. One of the topmost is called Higher, Deeper, Beyond. It's a spiritual plus leadership program where is on the top level, and that programs I kept attending. And one more thing, as a student or even as a lifelong learner, I always admire knowledge, and always respect knowledge, and I used to pursue it. I've seen Shiv Kumar sir and ma'am attending a lot of programs across the world. So I was also sure, if you have to keep going forward, you should only a burning candle can light another candle. So if you want to really do well in life, you have to keep studying. There's no other option. And my studying, to tell you frank, I have sometimes I've kept my wedding ring in some finance company, got the money and paid for my training programs. And some of the programs of Mahatri are really expensive for me at that point. So that's how that much in terms of knowledge, I mean, the investment or the money what you spend for your studies and to buy a book, that is always, I never used to see, I mean, money, even dad used to always say, even though dad retired and all his money is spent on education, he didn't keep 1 rupee also for him or for to take care of his parents or for my sister there. First thing, what is valued most is a and noble hearted. So, in fact, noble hearted trust. Everybody wanted a reliable, trusted people. From a small employee or at a very small level, I joined the national e-governance and I started interacting with all the, I was state head for Mizoram state data center. I was in Tripura for the police department automation project. I was directly interacting with the Inspector General of Police. Then I came down to Bangalore. That was the biggest turning point in terms of career. There, I started working for the High Court and Chief Secretary there at that time. So I got the opportunity because first was able-minded that whatever work they do in the government, if you're really good, I mean, if you're really able to fulfill the work or to complete the work what is given to you, you will get to work with the topic easily. When you will easily be recognized. And working with chief secretaries, high court judges, we had last 4 years I've been active member of the High Court to do a communication project. So there, noble hearted is valued must. So with the in the ladder of an employee or even in anywhere where you work, there is always dearth of trusted, reliable people. Even with ministers, all these ministers whom I worked with, even our senior most High Court judges, 2 of our judges are right now Supreme Court judges. All over there, I would have worked with 40 IAS officers of very senior level. They all, what they want is a noble-hearted guy, wherein you won't lie or you won't cheat. You should be worthy of your words. That's it. If you say something, you should do it. Very simple in life. Whether you are a student or an employee, whatever you do in life, the one basic quality is if you say something, you should do it. If you just follow this one thing, you will be successful in life. You don't have to worry about anything. There's one trait, and the next part is the able-minded. If is given to you, how fast you are able to learn that. I always say I wanted a tough master, somebody who says you are useless, or you're good, you are bad, you're good for nothing. Sometimes somebody who expects always best from you. I always felt you do something small, so people start praising you. Then you just maybe you just end there. So I always expected. In fact, the most powerful thing in the world is thoughts. So thoughts are everything. So I know it. Thoughts is the most powerful thing in the world. So when my thought was like that I wanted a tough master, I happened to work with a very senior IAS officer, principal secretary called Kapil Mohan sir. So 18 months I worked with such a good mentor. Sir is from Princeton and Harvard. Working with sir is really transformative. Sir is somebody who will expect the best, and sir will know everything. Sir will catch you wherever you are weak. Sir will only catch you on that point. And even to pick up a sir's phone call, I used to think 5 times what he will ask and what I should say. If I say this, what will be the next question? So you have to go so deep in everything. So one is noble-hearted, and I said the able-minded. In terms of able-minded, one most important thing: any subject or any domain you get to work with. For example, I got into real estate, RERA authority. I was IT head of Karnataka RERA, Real Estate Regulation Authority. I was under Kapil Mohan sir. I was IT head of RERA Karnataka. Even at that point, the two proverbs or two quotes or two values which I follow, which help me to be really able-minded or to achieve things faster. One is all about the problem-solving skill, right? So I follow this principle wherein I spend 99% of my time in understanding the problem and the 1% in solving it. So that's it. That's very true. So the solution lies in the problem. So you should study the problem or the work assigned to you in so much in detail. So much in, you should get into it in so detailed. So if you've gone in so much detail into the problem, not forget the solution. Solution lies inside the problem. So you should go so deep, so deep. Even I used to, for the code automation, I picked up 1,000 case files. I used to study why the case gets delayed, why is it taking 5 years, 7 years, and that much time I used to invest to know about the problem in detail. And the second most important thing, the deeper you know about something, the simpler you can explain. The deeper you know about something, the simpler you can explain. To explain very simple, so all these senior officials or CEO or even one of the in e-governance, we had one of the best CEO called Dr. Ratan Kelkar. Even I really admire him. So all these people, when they ask you something, even the ministers, they will hardly have few minutes and you have to explain them. Even High Court judges, our chairmen, Justice Ramohan Reddy and all these people. So you get literally very short time to brief them about even ministers. I used to, before the press meet, we need to brief them. So all these people wanted, we need to explain the problem in a simple way. The deeper you know about something, the simpler you can explain. For you to explain in a very simple way, you should know it so deep. That's the rule of life. Anywhere you are, as a trainer, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, as an employee, whatever it is, you should know it in detail. To explain it in a very simple way, you should spend more time to understand that. Another most important thing, one few more values which I follow on a day-to-day basis, which helps me to move forward, is that you should take ownership in whatever you do. If there is a problem, where you are part of the team, you should think you are the reason for the problem, and you should get into it to solve it. This blame game of he did that, and I didn't do it in government, maybe because I work with these officers, so you can't go and say, sir, I was not part of this. So there's no way. I mean, you can get away from the responsibility. So if you're part of any project, if you're part of some work, even I used to think, if somebody in the village, if the kid is not able to study, if the kid is really good at studies, and if the kid is not able to study, or because nobody is to help, I used to think, if I am there in my village, if somebody is not able to study, then I am useless. Even I used to take responsibility for that. So yeah, when you get into that sort of attitude, and one more good thing which I follow is always don't seek help. Provide solution for others. Whatever is there, even with the top people. I mean, if you want to be with the top, I mean, in your company or wherever you are, you should never go and ask for help. You should be helping them in solving their biggest problems. If you could do that, then you already have acquired all the leadership skills to run your own company. That's the time, because you have taken now, though, because if you're an entrepreneur, there is no way you can go and say that it's not, I mean, somebody, you cannot shun away from your responsibility. So whatever happens, you have to take ownership. So as an entrepreneur, you cannot blame anybody. So as an employee, if the day you have achieved that sort of an attitude, then you are fit to be an entrepreneur. And the next, so I did a lot of projects, and then I got into this entrepreneurship mode. So being an entrepreneur, first thing you should ask yourself is, if you want to earn $1 billion, then you should solve $1 billion problem. That's it, right? So if you want to earn $1 billion, so first you should figure out $1 billion problem. So entrepreneurship is all about figuring out such a problem and then finding solution for it. If you can do that, and in the most efficient way with technology enabled. So I also, to be an entrepreneur, later on I did a wonderful course with Mahapriya in the Infinitism. And then I did a Harvard business school. I always want to do a program. I cleared my financial accounting course over there. Then a lot of this entrepreneurship courses I have taken both offline and online that helped me. That is helping me. I'm still a budding entrepreneur. So at every stage, when you keep moving forward in life, you will have a lot of responsibility. And why? Well, there is another one interesting reason why I want to be an entrepreneur, right? Mahathir always say, what is purposeful living? If you are good at something, you should contribute to the world through that, whatever it is. If you are good at something, you should contribute to the world through that. And one more interesting thing, what motivated to be an entrepreneur is another thing is, earlier, so many things happen in life so fast, so I may not be able to tell everything. In between, I started to enjoy. I quit my job in Cognizant all of a sudden, and I felt I'm not, my life is not purposeful. I felt I should be doing something else. So I left my job and I started an NGO called Do What I Trust. And I was running an NGO in my village. I took a loan for 1 lakh rupee with my friend Radishana. We both, with a lot of friends from Cognizant, in our village, I started doing it. And for that also, my parents will support. So whatever I do, dad is there. He'll never question you, from dad and mom and sister and everybody. They'll never question me. They'll never, scold me for anything. Whatever I do, they'll support. So the entire responsibility will be on me to honor that. So this NGO I was running, and that time I used to borrow money from my friends, not borrow, just to take help from my friends. I used to help everybody. So in the last 2-3 years, I got a lot of opportunity wherein I was not able to get help from anybody to do that. So one day I was in the village, and there was challenge for water. So water scarcity was there in the village, and they also, with all the money, all the support. So here and there they arranged money, and twice they did borewell, and there was no water. So I was there at that time, and so I said, okay, this time I'll invest that money for the borewell. Let's see. And some 1.5 lakh, I think, of some money we spent. And so I was very sure, if your thoughts are noble, definitely it will happen. So everybody said you will not get water. So, but I'm sure our intention is noble. There's no way it can go wrong. And that's a faith, right? And as expected, we got water, and I put one water tank. So all the people can take water from that. So that was one incident wherein I felt, you really have money. You do not seek help from others. Money should never be a problem for doing all this thing. If you want to do something, nothing should stop you, right? And the Mahathir kept telling, the moral responsibility of every good human is to become rich. You should become rich. So he always quote about a story which I keep thinking. So $10, some 10 rupees was lying on the ground. If that one thief takes the 10 rupees, or some rascal takes the 10 rupees, he drinks and he does a reckless, or not even, you think, like 1,000 rupees. So he does all the bad things. If the same 1,000 rupees is with Mother Teresa or somebody, they'll go and do something good. In the same way, the money in the world is limited, and if it is money in the hands of a good people, will do a lot more good. So that was also there deep inside. And this instead of borewell, and one more cousin of mine, he helped me, my cousin brother, he helped me during my school days. When I wanted to go to Trichy, once he didn't have money, he literally sold his daughter's earring to give me the money to go to Trichy. So that really helped. But later on in life, he had 3 daughters. So to get them 2 daughters, he got married, and he literally has to sell everything to do that. For the 3rd daughter's marriage, he was really going through a tough time, and he was helpless. Then I came to know about this. Then I said, I will do that job. I will get her married. So hardly it's less than a year. So I took the responsibility for the complete marriage. It was a big celebration in the village. We got her married, and a lot of kids in the village also, and my others, some 3-4 lakh of fees for their studies, and I got to do few things like this. That all inspired me. And in between, in the village, even during the COVID time and before that, most of them lost job. And some of the students whom I helped to study, whom I used to pay for their fees and their hostel fees, They all have completed their studies and they are able to take care of the family because they're all first generation learners. So all those people, students are now able to take care of the family very well. And even employment right now. So when everybody was sacking, so I kept paying salary to some of my staff, and even even in the farm, I have given job for some more people. That really made me feel, if you really do big, maybe not everybody is gifted or blessed to get all these opportunities and to earn money or to move forward in life. If you have one such opportunity, you should do it more. So, and that is what is entrepreneurship is all about. It is not the money that motivates you to do or to move forward. It is what you could do with that. If you know every day you can do all these things, then you will get somewhere from some divine energy will be there to do all these things, because what motivates you is something really different, and it keeps you it gives you all the energy. And the subconscious mind, I have a very deep emotion towards that, towards such things. Even in the marriage, when my brother's daughter touched she put her hands and she thanked me, because we know each other, how difficult it was to do that. So there are very deep emotions I have connected towards myself. So that deep emotions, which is the motivating factor for the subconscious mind, it works all the way to create more such moments in your life. That will definitely, that's happening. I'm seeing it, and that is all about entrepreneurship. So that is the phase of life right now. And next, I'm sure now we have done everything for the family, even in part of family. So I was lucky enough to do everything, and I was able to get a sister married, and then to build a house, to take care of grandparents very well. So one other happiest thing in life is all those responsibility what is given to you. So grandparents are very, 85, 90 and all. They always tell everybody, uh, which really makes me happy is that they tell everybody, John is there, he will take care of us. So even for parents, so for how many people in life you could be like that? Don't expect that how many are there for you, that's another thing. But how many for how many people you are there for them? You should always, I always think like that. So for dad, mom, for the grandparents, I took care of them very well, and that is somewhere is a big blessing. And with that responsibility, if you could fulfill, and then you will do it to your family, and then your cousins, and then if you're really good, it should move on to the village, your friends, and then a bigger society. That's how life should be. If you're, what I really feel, what is success is when you could expand that circumference to from the closest family to the village, and then to little broader level. When I work for the High Court every day, I'll always think like that only. Okay, could make a lot of changes in the judiciary. I will be able to do a lot of things. A lot of people will be able to help. That's how I used to think. And my grandpa always used to say, "Dharmam talai kaakum." Dharmam talai kaakum. Good deeds will save your head. So even this corona or a lot of things, at any moment in life, in Bangalore and all, I've seen a lot of incidents. Your life is not in your hands. Any moment, anything can happen. What is saving you is those little noble deeds or good things you've done for others. And something beautiful I want to tell you is, if you've really done such beautiful things you get to do, and life, God blessed me with one thing, certain parents and sister and your cousins, everybody, that is God when you're born, right? Something you will later on acquire in life, some relationships. So for all the good things or small good things which I've done in life, I got one biggest gift from God, that is Florence, my wife, and her family. And that is really true. So if that is there now, 90% of your life is taken care. Then you'll have time for everything. So nothing will stop you, right? So all those, sometimes God will surprise you with certain gifts in life, some mentors, some business opportunity, all these things. That is because of the good deeds or small help, what you get to do, that will take care of that, right? And the next session, I really thought of telling you some books and all. I think we have got hardly 12 more minutes now, and a lot of books are my life, and lot of books I read, but I
John,
just very
John,
yes,
intervene. Could we keep the next 10 minutes for questions?
yes, sir. I'm okay with that. Last 2-3 minutes, I want to
What
talk
do you
about
think?
something.
Because
So
there may be a lot of people who have got some thoughts. They want to ask you some questions. And possibly book, you can send it across to us. I can even forward it to them.
yes, definitely, sir. That is fine.
So friends, anybody has got any question, you can ask John. We can use the next 10 minutes for questions and answers. You can unmute yourself and ask Mr. John the question. You can openly ask him. He's a very noble man. So anybody with a pure heart, you can just open up. It can be a very innocent question. Doesn't matter.
Sir, hello.
Hi.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Kishore, sir.
Hello, Kishore.
Sure.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Actually, I would like to ask one question, sir. Uh, why you chosen the court and government services initially? Then after that, you come to entrepreneurship, and before your job, what is the transformations? How it transform means what made you to transform to court to entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Can they hear me?
Yeah, you can unmute. Yeah, you can mute yourself, Kishore. So John can.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
1 second. John, come on screen. Where is he? John? Where is John?
Yes, I'm there.
So I think his question is, what made you go to the? 1 second. Please mute yourself. Neeraj, mute yourself. The question of Mr. Kishore. Kishore is an auditor.
Okay.
So his question is, why did you get into? 1 second. Please mute yourself.
John, you unmute and speak. I'll mute.
Yes, sir. I mean, I could speak.
I'm going to mute you, so now you can unmute.
So his question is, why did you go to the court, and from there you took a detour into entrepreneurship? So it's a very rational mind asking you the question.
No, yeah. I mean, I still work for the court as a more of a pro bono kind of thing. So that is always there. As I told you, if you want to, when there is an opportunity, right, to make it very clear, life is not about this or that. Life is about this, that, and that too, and maybe few more in the line. So code is also there. That's also going very well. Business is also there. It's all about how much you could do and how good you can do. So if you have the, I mean, blessings and the energy and all, you could do that. So the thought here is the attitude should be, it's not about this or that. Life can be this, that, and that too.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, mute yourself, Kishore. Yes, Dheeraj wanted to ask a question. Dheeraj, please come forward. Kishore, kindly mute yourself. Yes. Dheeraj doesn't want to come in.
Hello.
Anyone else?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I have one question.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello. Good morning. Yeah. Uh, in future, what plan you have made for your business growth?
One was on the agri tech side, on the farming side. We have a marine farms company. I wanted to get into this professional farm management service, wherein through an app, wherein you can manage your farm. One model farm is ours, which we are already doing it, and the success of that, we'll take it forward. I also have a company on the to protect home buyers. I'm working on something since I worked on RERA. I've got a lot of experience in that. So already our company is already doing good, and we just want to get into other verticals and also add on related businesses like interiors and all. We already have a company called DYHS Designing Home Space. So that also we just wanted to do it in a little bigger. Just want to expand to other cities and all these things. So definitely 50% time in business I want to spend on the farming side, because we can set up a model where you'll do a lot of good to the nature also, I always feel and think I'm an earthling, and not even a human being. We always think I'm an earthling, part of different creatures and living things in this world. And agriculture is always at the last for in the country, and a lot of wonderful things can be done. And my mentor and our CFO, Shashikant sir, always tell me, most of the farmers, they all do the same set of farming. If somebody is growing coconut or banana, everybody in that area do the same. So sir always say, you should do something and show people what else they could do with agriculture, how they can utilize the land very well, how we can make use of technology and other things. So that is something really interesting. And working in the farm and all, you will not feel tired or something. You will get a lot of energy from that instead of you spending the energy. So that I will definitely be doing a lot of good things over there.
Yeah. Thank you.
One last question.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah, we can have two more questions. Yes, Gokul.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Sir, you had a startup, right, sir? You had a startup, right? You have a startup. So, sir, many young minds are having a startup like nowadays. So, with the technology growing up, what do you think about the startups in the future? Like after 5 years or 10 years, what do you think about the startups? Like, where do you see the startup?
I'll say very simple. What a lot of things will keep happening. A lot of startups will come and go. Maybe if you're good at something, first whatever you're good at, if you have acquired all the skills that is required to take it forward, then you should venture into it. So somebody who's very disciplined and focused, and keep learning and keep acquiring all the skills, their startups will definitely take it forward. Two things which is really helping me these days to improve the knowledge or to improve the skills required to run the business properly. One is your story. Even Shraddha, I attend their training program for the entrepreneurs. It's all through online, which is really interesting. And India's hub for all the startups to learn and to move is your story. And another one is the Y Combinator. It's an international forum, and they also take a lot of startups, support a lot of startups. And Y Combinator also, I attend their videos and programs regularly. So it's not about what is the future of startups and everything. The startup industry, whatever you call it, it was happening, it is happening, it will be happening. Are you part of that? Are you able to do something? Finally, the questions will come on to you. What am I doing it? Where am I in that? Am I also part of the thing, or am I just a visitor, or just a see from outside? You should be part. You should also jump into something. Try and keep trying.
I'd like to ask.
Sir, last 2 minutes. I want to keep.
Kindly mute yourself. Last question. Yes, Mr. Dheeraj.
I'd like to ask you, like, if transparency is maintained in RERA sector, like you say about Nobelism and all that, and what do you do for maintaining transparency in RERA?
So that is the online, only through technology in any government sector, as part of e-governance. If you take United Nations e-governance survey, India is 118th ranking. That means most of our work is done manually. So first step for transparency is through online. So if you see RERA, most of the things, the approval, the document, everything is available for the public. So technology plays a very important role. So the e-governance, national e-governance, which I was part of it, all the efforts have been put to ensure most of the government works are done through online. If that is done, 100% transparency can expect. So in the High Court also I'm doing. We have more than 2.5 lakh pending cases. So if it is managed through technology, we can do a lot of things. Thank you, Dheeraj. So last 2 minutes, I just want to complete the session with an interesting incident and a story, which is helping me to, which keeps me going. It's a story of a kid called David. So when I was in Coimbatore, when I was running our NGO and all, every Saturday I used to take some of my students, Suresh and so many students in Coimbatore. We used to go to some orphanage, even though those days, maybe there were a lot of days I didn't have food or I didn't have the money for the bus fare. After Cognizant, I resigned and I was doing all these activities. But even then, whatever money we could collect, that 1 rupee, 2 rupee, we all collect and go to the orphanage. So when I was spending time in the orphanage, one day in Don Bosco Anbu Illam in Ukkaram, Coimbatore, we used to buy small things, whatever they required. So there was a kid called David. So we all are playing, and so we asked David next week when I come, what do you want, David? So if you see the situation over there, even if they want a water bottle, they should write to the warden there, and he will take some time to collect. That's how life is. So David lost his parents in the tsunami, and he was there. So when I asked David, what do you want? So David said, Jonah, next time when you come, you get me some bangles. David was studying in 4th standard. He's one of the active kids in that umbrella. So he used to help others. And even in that standard, he's a very active guy. So he said, I want bangles. Then I asked him, why do you want bangles? Then David said, and I have an elder sister who is in near Tudilu, another ashram is there. She is there. So I used to go and meet her once in a month. So when last time she asked me for bangles. So then I asked him, I spent a lot of time with David. So this David, although he had nothing, but still he kept telling that he wanted to take care of his family, want to get his sister married, and want to be a doctor, want to do so much for the world, right? So David leading in that situation, if he has that much ambition and passion to do a lot of things for the family and for him and for the world, you and me, with all the blessings, with everything, our life should not be small, right? We should be doing something more. That's that story which always keeps me going, and I like to conclude saying that life is a game. God likes the winner and loves the loser, but he hates the viewer. So be the player, and success is always yours. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you, John. A lot of takeaways from you. The one takeaway I get is your parents never interfered with your plans. I think that is what parenting is. So they have to be the bows from which the arrows are sent forward.
Perfect, sir.
Second beautiful takeaway I get is whenever there is a problem in your life, look into the mirror. You will see the problem there. And third, you had a beautiful question. You want to get $1 billion, solve $1 billion problem.
Million. Oh,
$1 billion problem. And one thing which I think all of us can learn from you is there is a beautiful quotation which says, guard your heart with diligence. Guard your heart with diligence, for from it come the issues of life. Throughout, your heart has been noble. Thanks to the blessing of your parents, it has been noble. So you have never tried to manipulate the world. You've never been a parasite of the world. You've been only thinking of giving, giving, giving. So as you keep giving, the divine energies keep pouring into you so that you can give more and more. And you're talking about the circumference, the circle. It keeps expanding. So I don't think your success, like the auditor put it, is why from this thing. That's a rational brain which says, okay, from government, why did you go for entrepreneurship? What is the plan of entrepreneurship? That's a left brain thinking. I believe you surrendered to the divine power and said, what good can I do to the world? And divine power gave the answers, and it is working through you. My prayers, it works, continues, keep working through you, and it works through everyone so that we can make a beautiful world, a healed world. Thank you very much for this beautiful Saturday morning that you have given us, right? And friends, if you can come out and give a big round of applause to Mr. John for having invested his 1 hour with us. Okay. Okay, that is the only thing you can do. An act of gratitude by showing your face on the screen. No, not putting your icons and emotos and all there.
Come on the video
Okay,
and
every
give a clap.
human being has got a face there, a beautiful face. So you can come. Guys, don't be shy. Don't worry about your makeup and lipstick and all that.